Lord Vader, can you hear me? Rise, there's a rodent infestation to attend to. At the Tomb of the Shifting Sands, the Dark Elves and Skaven are at each other's throats once again, as the dreaded Double Dragon looks to send the Vermintide scurrying back into their caves. And today is a day of mind games, of build and counter build, of speedy light cav, and a Ratman Deathstar. So when the Prophet and the Warlock first came out, people were all about those Skaven gun lines, right? Accurate fire, long range, tons of DPS. Hard to go wrong with that kind of build, but there are some factions in Warhammer 2 that prey on that type of army. The Dark Elves are one of them. Doomfire Warlocks, Harpies, Dark Riders, all that speed makes it very difficult to keep Jezzails and Warp Lightning Cannons alive. Dragons do too. Malekith and Seraphon, with power from Darkness, Word of Pain, Blade Wind, and Soul Stealer, he's a world beater up top to rule the sky, and he's leading his Dark Elves into battle today. 3 Dread Spears in the front ranks and 2 Bleak Swords in support make up the infantry contingent, but their only job is to die. It's all about the light cav and the Double Dragon play. 3 Doomfire Warlocks, 2 of them with Soul Blight and Doombolt, Slaanesha's Harvesters with Word of Pain and Soul Stealer, and another Black Dragon with 2 Dark Riders Vanguard deployed in the back of the map. And the game plan is simple. Cause terror routes with the Black Dragons, break up the Skaven box, and let the light cav run wild once the Ratmen break formation. This is a very fragile army, but it is very quick and it has a lot of killing power. Definitely risky though, because Howling Warp Gale and Rattling Guns can end a dragon in short order. Playing against Wyvern Gaming for this one, link to his channel will be in the pinned comment below. He did not go for the build I expected, but it's a very intelligent one. He's got the Blightscab's Plague Pack as the main attraction with a Deathstar Rush army. Now we've seen this unit before. It's super good here because Demagoguery gives anything nearby immune to Psych, meaning they will not terror route and break formation. And these Sensor Bearers have magic attacks, which absolutely wreck Doomfire Warlocks and bypass their 40% physical resist. Grayseer on a Screaming Bell with Warp Lightning, Death Frenzy, and Unholy Clamor, and Clan Vulcan's Tail Slashers with their Flaming Swords over on the left flank. Couple of Poison Wind Globadiers, which for the cost can be incredibly effective against large targets, especially Doomfire Warlocks because of their magic attacks, and the Teethbreaker's Rattling Gun ROR. Concealment Bombs, Suppression, and some nasty DPS coming out of those GAU Avenger Cannons. But despite having a few range units here, this really is a melee rush Deathstar. Tight, compact formation, Death Frenzy to hit maximum amount of units as possible, Demagoguery to keep them all in the fight and not terror routing, 3 Sensor Bears to wreck infantry, and the A-Bomb to protect that Screaming Bell in the center. It might very well have been an unintentional counter build, but it is a beautiful counter to the Double Dragon and Doomfire Warlock play. Gaze of Malice going down, gonna rip through some of those Plague Sensor Bears, but the Dark Elves are gonna have their work cut out for them here. Wyvern Gaming essentially knows that playing static and defensive against Dark Elves makes it hard to protect the gun, so he's decided to go pretty much full melee rush and force the light cav into kind of scary engagements near those Plague Sensor Bears. Black Dragon unleashing some noxious fumes, and I have talked about that before. Generally speaking, you don't want to do what I just did. When units are moving laterally away from a Black Dragon or kind of perpendicular to where you'll be breathing the attack from, essentially most of the time it's going to miss, especially some of the less accurate breath attacks like the Zombie Dragon or the Black Dragon. It just ends up being a waste. You typically want to have it tied down or not moving when you cast that breath attack, so that's 1 out of his 3 casts that's just not going to be able to get used in any effective manner whatsoever, which is a little bit unfortunate, but to get rid of a full Poison Wind Globadier, sometimes it can be worth that trade if you get a good breath off. Didn't get one there, unfortunate. You can see right at the start of this match, 0 desire to match up in an infantry duel, because the Dread Spears and the Bleak Swords are going to get absolutely pooped on by all those Sensor Bears. But the Black Dragon does have an avenue of attack into those Clan Vulcan's Tail Slashers, and with the help from Slaanesha's Harvesters, should be able to do some serious damage to that unit. He is going to retreat into range of those Poison Wind Globadiers though, and Billowing Death going to waft its way into the nostrils of my Slaanesha's Harvesters. That hurt. Lost 5 models from a single volley. Magical attacks when it's scything through 40% physical resist. Pretty effing good. So, gonna have to retreat and rethink that engagement. On this side, Plague Sensor Bears, giving chase to my Dread Spears. They are 37 speed, my Dread Spears are only 32. As soon as they get into charge range, there is no running from them. So, the Black Dragons are gonna have to land another Gaze of Malice. It's gonna be another good one. Gonna hit the full unit, and actually, really didn't do that much damage. I was a little bit surprised about that. It's normally very good against lightly armored troops. But Seraphon, gonna roar his displeasure to the heavens and rip his way through that infantry. And I'm basically trying to create space for my Dread Spears and my Bleak Swords to escape. Things are getting so scary though, because Rat Ogres are nearby. The Plague Sensor Bears, I already know, are gonna rip up all my infantry. So it really does come down to Light Cav and the double dragons that are flying around. So some really good breath attacks and really good charges when those Blight Scab's Plague Pack are isolated, gonna be so important because they're a little bit too far forward right now. They're not giving that immune to psych to the rest of his army. Huge breath attack coming in, and I was kind of pissed about that one because I'm in a perfect position for it, but it wasn't very accurate. You can see it kind of misses right in the middle of that enemy formation and missed a lot of the breath. If it had hit flush, like I feel like it should have, that's the entire unit completely dead, done, and dusted right at the start of the match, which would have been a huge blow to the Skaven, but still did some good damage to them nonetheless. Snesh's Harvesters and the Doomfire Warlocks are going to rip through these Skaven Slaves in the back, no problem whatsoever. And the entire plan here is any unit that gets isolated away from the main Death Star gets run down. So it's going to be an exercise in patience. Very nice Orb Lightning, going to do some friendly fire damage, but also wreck my own Bleak Swords. And the Black Dragon coming in to Terror Rout immediately. Now the Teeth Breakers are firing into Doomfire Warlocks in the rear. Soul Stealer, a very good one, hitting a lot of troops, but the Poison Wind Globadiers getting a full volley into the Black Dragon and immediately dropping to half. And with the support from the Teeth Breakers that turned around and began firing into him, that HP bar is plummeting. It was at like 4,500 when that began, immediately drops to like 2,000, 1,600. Super painful. And that means those Rattling Guns need to die. I cannot let them survive. I cannot afford to have them on the field any longer. Rear charge from Dark Riders. Seraphon, gonna hit him from the front, and I'm committing everything to making sure that unit dies. Now, probably committed a little bit too much there, but it was a panic-inducing moment. It's not every day you see your Black Dragon drop down to half in about 3 seconds. It's a crazy range DPS. That's what the Skaven are good for. Doomfire Warlocks making it in on top of the Poison Wind Globadiers, and now they are the biggest threat. You just saw them get 2 full volleys into Seraphon, and Malekith is hurting now too. So, immediately, I'd say things have gone kind of sour for the Dark Elves. Taken a ton of damage on both of my Black Dragons. The Light Cav is doing fine, and we have isolated some units. Dark Riders are routing, but Breath Attack, gonna miss. And this is the second one that was not very good. I want to get rid of that A-bomb, and I want to get rid of the Poison Wind Globadiers. They were both right next to each other, but they just simply weren't tied down by anything. So it was a relatively simple procedure to just dodge out of the way. And now, once we start seeing the real Death Star come out to play, once Wyvern starts really getting into that blob of Skaven troops, kind of like what he's doing right now, but when it stops moving, that's the perfect time to get those breath attacks in order. Clan Vulcan's Tail Slashers just shattered, and we have a full surround off, which is good. That's what we want. Any unit that breaks formation, Doomfire Warlock's gonna steal their souls. Like I said, this is an exercise in patience, which is difficult in and of itself when your entire army is made up of like 90 move speed units. But to break that blob, need to wait for the right openings, which I really haven't actually done an amazing job of so far. A couple excited breath attacks, a couple overzealous ones, but we got rid of the Teeth Breakers, and now it's gonna be down to those Poison Wind Globadiers and the A-bomb. If I can isolate those and kill those, I could be in good shape, but it's gonna be pretty difficult to pull that one off. And that is a juicy Soul Stealer that's gonna get Malekith back, I think like 400 or 500 health. By the way, in case you're wondering how that spell works, you will always get the same amount of health back no matter how many units you hit or how much damage you do, but the more units you hit, obviously the more damage you're gonna do, and that's gonna be pretty nice. It's a lot better against a big blob of stuff than a single entity or a couple single entities. So, hit a lot of stuff there, giving their souls the good suck into the warp, and the more we do that, the closer we can get to a mass rout on the Skaven line. But I think Blight Scabs, yeah, the Blight Scabs Plague Pack are still alive. And Globadiers, you're a little bit blobbed up here, have some corrosive spice for good measure. Woohoo! Yeah, That one felt good. That was juicy. So, didn't completely eviscerate all 3 of those Globadier units, but it did quite a bit. I tried to get a second one in. All 3 of the breath attacks from that Black Dragon that is not being ridden by Malekith were trash. Like, watching it back, I'm kind of upset at myself that, that I did those breath attacks, because I had some bad ones with the normal Black Dragon. I've had some very good ones so far with Malekith himself, so kind of a tale of 2 dragons there, but a bit unfortunate, because again, if I wait for, like, now, that would be a really good breath attack. A really good one. Now, I got a Giz Malice, jibbed a few of my own stuff, but did a lot more damage to the Skaven infantry, which is good. And going for the full surround, see the Rat Ogres isolated, see the Poison Globadiers isolated, and they were not close enough to the Blight Scab's Plague Pack to prevent that route. So they're out of the box now, coming in from the other side, going in and just trying to cause as much havoc as possible in the limited amount of time we have while that box is a bit broken down. Yet another Soul Stealer, Doombolt going down on the Screaming Bell, A-Bomb coming over, and that is our cue to get the hell out of dodge. It is going to get real scary real quick if the Black Dragon sticks around. Poison Globadiers did return, but into the loving embrace of the hollow Doomfire Warlocks, who will share their love of soul stealing with the world, and they're dead too. Okay, so Rat Ogres now isolated from the box, and it might be the best opportunity to get back into the game, because if the Rat Ogres are dead, then all the mass and the armor piercing they have can't be used to tie down a dragon when it goes in and allow more time for the A-Bomb to come over and beat the crap out of my stuff. So if the Rat Ogres die, that's a huge swing in the Dark Elves' favor. Soul Blight going down, gonna limit their effectiveness. Nice Warp Lightning, gonna force the Doomfire Warlocks away from that engagement. One of the Black Dragons is caught out though. Screaming Bell on one side, A-Bomb on the other. Might be able to escape, but certainly not gonna do so without losing a bunch of health. Now the bounce bar is a little bit in the Skaven's favor. God, that'd be a good time for a breath attack. And there's gonna be one, and that was the final one that pissed me off. So, yes, without a doubt, some of the breath attacks this game were my fault and were poorly timed. That one was not. The one on the Blight Scab's Plague Pack early on was not. That was just bad targeting from the game, because I targeted the center of that blob, and instead, of course, all that corrosive breath ended up going towards like 4 separated models on the outside of everything, which really sucks, because if it goes right in the middle, I maybe melt a huge swath of that army, go in with the double dragon play, double the dragon, double the fun, and cause a huge rout. No guarantees, but it could have worked out a lot better than it did there. That said though, both the dragons are still alive, and it's not like the Skaven have a lot left. Outcome of this battle still very much in the air. Literally, I mean, there are 2 dragons flying overhead. The Doomfire Warlocks, they could probably go for a charge on those Skaven slaves right now, but looks like we're just looking to run down all the Poison Globadiers who broke ranks and fled. So more patience, more waiting for that opportunity to strike, and we're gonna get one. The Hell Pit Abomination bounding forward into the Dread Spears, trying to run away so we get a little bit more space and pull that thing out a little bit further, because it is faster than the rest of the army besides those Rat Ogres. A Doombolt raining down, and Seraphon and his Black Dragon companion coming in as Warpstone Grinder Fists just pulverize those poor Dread Spears. They're going to be a worthy sacrifice, because we're going to get 2 dragons in the rear and start munching on that A-Bomb booty. But here comes the Death Frenzy. AoE on the entire enemy army, plus 26 melee attack, more weapon damage, and that's going to hurt when you talk about Plague Sensor Bears with like 65 melee attack. Unholy Clamor, giving vigor and leadership. Soul Blight going down, trying to counteract some of those buffs. But things are starting to look a little bit precarious, a little bit dangerous for the Dark Elves. Not that they haven't been looking that way for the last 10 minutes, but especially so now. Hard-fought battle for sure, but Malekith has but one option available to him at this point in the game. Dread Spears go in. They're still in that huge blob. Just an amorphous blob, a veritable vermintide. And the Doomfire Warlocks are circling. They're just waiting for the opportunity to strike. It sucks because the Plague Sensor Bears, anytime the Doomfire Warlocks charge in and commit fully to an engagement, I mean, the magic attacks just wreck them, dude. They wreck them. And yeah, Plague Sensor Bears, they take a lot of damage from charges like that. But the best opportunity Malekith and the Dark Elves have now is commit these Doomfire Warlocks from the front, and Blade Wind. That's why we brought the spell. We were hoping for blobs like this to develop, and as they charge in, could it be enough? Could it send the Skaven army running just a huge tornado of blades, ripping and tearing their way through the Skaven hordes? It is going to kill upwards of 50 troops immediately, kind of clip on the edge of the unit and not fully get in there and really slice up everything. Well, that was a lot of blood and a lot of carnage and a lot of wavering. Black Dragon going in, hoping to cause that chain route. It's not going to be enough. Malekith will disappear. Lord Vader will fail in his quest to unite the galaxy, and the Skaven are going to take the battlefield. So Malekith was amazing that game. He's always been an amazing lord. On a Black Dragon, on Seraphon, with his toolkit, Soul Stealer and Blade Wind and the breath attacks and all of that. He's just incredibly good. He almost carried me there. There were some issues that game that, looking back, I needed to fix. If I was to play this battle again, I certainly would. Way too overzealous on some of the breath attacks. I feel like if I use those better, I have a much better chance of winning. I did get unlucky on a couple of them, where I fired into the correct target at the right time, and it just didn't go where I needed it to go, which you can't really control that. What I can control is the build itself, and when I use them. And so with the second Black Dragon, only got like 60 kills, which some of them were on high value targets for sure. It definitely made an impact that battle, but not nearly as large a one as I would have liked it to. I think the Doomfire Warlocks ended up doing well, but ultimately, the Skaven had a very good build to counter what I was trying to do, and he had no idea what I was going to bring. But when you look at what he had on paper, it's actually perfect to counter this kind of strategy, and a lot of it did derive from the fact that he realizes, okay, what are the Dark Elf strengths in this matchup? Well, the Light Cav are super good at shutting down the ranged play. Maybe I won't commit to bringing ranged play. Maybe I know Doomfire Warlocks are going to show up. Plague Sensor Bears are not only going to rip through a lot of Dark Elf infantry, but they're also going to rip through the Doomfire Warlocks as well. So he knew, even if he didn't know exactly what I was going to bring, he had a very good idea of what might happen. And so that Death Ball with the Poison Wing Globadiers did a surprising amount of damage to my Dragon play. And the Teeth Breakers mowing down that first Black Dragon. The Rat Ogres, the Hell Pit Abomination, all of it together made for a very tough nut to crack. And Wyvern played that one very well. Hope you guys enjoyed.